Hello, assalamu alaikum. I just decided to make this video of our journey from Pakistan to UK via Albania, so that it can be of any help to people who are either thinking of traveling to Albania just for tourism or coming back to the UK, or stuck between the decision of doing hotel quarantine or traveling via Amber country. So our decision not to hotel quarantine was mainly due to two reasons. Firstly, paying 1750 per person to stay in a hotel room is just too much, where you can't even go out, or maybe for 15-20 minutes. Your activities are quite confined. You don't get the best food, and plus you're not allowed to open windows. And then secondly, we've got a 20 months old daughter, and to keep her in one room without any outdoor space would have been really difficult for 10 days. So for that reason, we decided not to do hotel quarantine and come back to the UK via Amber country. So I was traveling with my wife, who has got a Pakistani passport with a British spouse visa, and my daughter and I, we are both British passport holders, along with Pakistani passport holders. So the reason to choose Albania as our route to come back to the UK was basically the visa requirement for my wife was a visa on arrival. So if you've got a Pakistani passport with a British visa, which has been used before, it has to be used on one occasion. Then it's visa on arrival, and for British passport holders is visa free. And secondly, Albania is almost COVID free. They haven't got that many cases at all. I didn't see anyone wearing a mask, or social distancing didn't exist at all. So for all those reasons, we decided to choose Albania. So we were flying from Karachi by Turkish Airlines. Even though a negative PCR test is not a requirement at Albania or for transiting at the Istanbul airport. So if you are a transit passenger, COVID test is not required. But then we heard that at the Karachi airport, they are checking the negative PCR certificate. So I got it done on the same day that we were flying. So Turkish Airlines, they accept Chuktai, Chuktai, Shaukat Khanam, and I think Jerry's. So I got it done with Advanced Labs, which is affiliated with Jerry's. So they've got a branch on 26th Street in DLJ Karachi. My friend knows the person who is the owner of Advanced Lab. So he gave us a discount as well. So instead of paying 6,500, we ended up paying 5,500 per person. And we got the result within 2 hours as well. So that was pretty amazing, because we went to Chuktai first, and they said that we can't give you the result in less than 24 hours. And we needed the result as soon as possible. So they gave us the result in within 2 hours. So that was pretty good. So if anyone is willing to get that test done, please let me know, and I can get in touch with the Advanced Lab and give your name. So Turkish Airlines, from Karachi, our flight firstly didn't cancel. It was on time. It was on the same day. So from Karachi to Istanbul, and then a 2 hours 10 minutes layover at Istanbul, and then a flight to Albania, which is 1 hour and 40 minutes. So at the Karachi airport, before even you go to the boarding counter, where they do the metal scan or the baggage scan, they were checking the COVID certificate. So once you arrive at the boarding counter, there were no questions asked, especially like my wife having a British spouse visa with a Pakistani passport. They knew that for Albania it's visa on arrival, so even the immigration authorities knew that as well. So there were no questions asked. Boarding and everything was done smoothly. Our flight was on time. Our flight was full from Karachi to Istanbul, but thankfully we got a seat in the middle for our daughter. So she was able to have a seat, and we didn't have to carry her on our laps, so that was good. So when we arrived at Istanbul, so firstly, you only get the boarding pass from Karachi to Istanbul, because they do a code share between Turkish Airline and Air Albania. So your baggage is checked all the way to Tirana, but you only get the boarding pass from Karachi to Istanbul. So when you land at Istanbul, we had 2 hours 10 minutes layover, which is ideal. I think it's perfect. But just make sure you go straight to the transfer desk, because the new Istanbul airport is quite big, and we kept on asking people where is the transfer desk. And again, I think communication can be a bit of a problem in Turkey as well. So we weren't getting the right help, or no one could understand. But finally, there was one person who took us to the transfer desk, where you have to show the ticket and your passport, and you are issued with the boarding passes to Tirana. So after getting the boarding passes, you have to go to the metal scan, and then you go to the gate. And again, at the gate, they only checked our passport, and that was it. No checking of our hotel bookings in Albania or anything, just our COVID certificate. So again, our flight from Istanbul to Tirana was on time. It's with Air Albania. It was a very short flight, 1 hour 40 minutes. Once we landed in Tirana, it's a very small airport. The immigration authorities didn't even ask a single question. They only looked at our passport, and they don't stamp the passport both on entry or on exit. So they only looked up at a passport, and they just welcomed to the country. So then if you have got quite a lot of luggage, then it's best to get a trolley. To get a trolley is 50 Albanian leks. So you can get that easily at the exchange that is at the airport. We were carrying US dollars, and we use cash all the way through in Albania, and we were getting it exchanged now and again whenever we needed. Euro is also used, but I think it's best to use the local currency, Albanian lek. The exchange at the airport doesn't give you the best rate, so I think it's best to exchange some money and then get a better rate once you are in the city. So from Tirana, once we landed, we had a hotel booked in Durrës. So Durrës is a city 30 minutes away from Tirana. It's by the beach, and we had a hotel pickup booked, so they were on time as well. So they came and collected us, and we were staying at the Palace Hotel, which is if you're staying in Durrës, then I would definitely recommend, because it's one of the best hotels in Durrës. We got the booking done from Agoda. I think for 4 nights we were there in Durrës. We paid £320 for 4 nights, which isn't bad for a 5-star resort. And the hotel, our first impressions were really good. You've got a private beach, pool, the food and everything is nice there. So we did 4 nights there. Our activities in Durrës, there isn't much to do there other than, just lie by the beach, swimming by the pool. Our daughter, whoever is thinking of traveling with their kids, our daughter had an amazing time. She's 20 months old, but she had a good time by the beach, and hotel is very kids friendly as well. So yeah, the concept of halal over there is, if they are not serving pork, then chicken and beef is halal, which is quite different to the concept that we know of halal, that is the way you sacrifice an animal. So that's why we were just eating veg and seafood whilst we were there. And we were normally eating at our hotel because our hotel food was very nice. So after staying in Durrës, we went to Tirana, which is the capital. We stayed in a hotel called Vilayate. I think it's a 4-star hotel. It's not the same as a Palace Hotel, but in terms of location, it's quite central. It's walking distance to Skanderberg Square. So I think we got the booking done from booking.com, and it was £450 for 7 nights, including breakfast. So again, not bad for 7 nights. So in Tirana, there are quite a few things to do. You've got the Skanderbeg Square, and at the time that we were there, and still the Euros were going on, so every night they had a big screen in the center where they were showing the football matches. They've got a pretty much cafe culture, like Italy. So every, like in a main street, you would see quite a few cafes, and every cafes have got screen. So if you're interested in watching football, so every cafe that you would go to would have a screen showing football matches. We did quite a few day trips. We went to Dashti Express, which is quite high up, and it's basically a cable car that takes you up, and there are quite a few activities like, a Patriata of Pakistan, but slightly better than that. So that was a good day trip, and then we went to Skodra Lake. It's I think 1.5 hour away from Tirana. It's basically a nice lake with nice scenery. So we spent time there. And then we were just in the center eating. There are quite a few malls. Again, all the malls have got kids play zone, and our daughter was occupied in the play zone, and they're quite cheap as well. And then food wise, again, we were sticking to veg and seafood in Tirana as well, but there were quite a few places where they had halal written outside. So we had chicken shawarmas there. So then it was our time to go back to the UK. So I booked Wizz Air, which travels directly from Tirana to London Luton. It's a 3 hours 10 minutes flight. The only reason to book Wizz Air was because it was cheaper than British Airways. And normally, if you were to book, Wizz Air is like £40 one way, but because we had a bit of luggage, we got the fly-in flexible ticket, which was £300. So there are two requirements in order to fly back to the UK. So you have to get your COVID test done within 72 hours, and you have to fill in the passenger locator form within 48 hours. So COVID test at the Tirana airport near the arrival. And they have got a mobile unit of American Labs. So they do the COVID test for €35 per person, and they give you the result within 60 to 90 minutes. We got it done a day before that we were flying, but there were many people who did it on the same day as well. And then you have to fill in the passenger locator form with all the details, your flight number and everything. You in fact have to put your private testing reference number that you will do on day 2 and day 8 after arriving in the UK. And we got it done with Rendox. So you get some discount if you're booking with Wizz Air. So we paid £90 per person for both the tests. And Rendox were pretty good, so our results came on time as well. So our flight again was on time, no cancellation, 3 hours 10 minutes, and we were into Luton. Because our daughter was also traveling with us, and the UK, they give you a bit of priority if you're traveling with kids. So at the immigration, there was no question asked. From landing at the airport till collecting our baggage, we were done in 10 minutes. The only question asked that, can you show us your ticket that you went to Albania? So I showed my boarding passes that I kept because, as I mentioned earlier, Albanian authorities, they don't stamp your passport both on exit or on entry. So it's best to keep hold of your ticket or boarding passes. So in hindsight, it was a really good decision to come to Luton instead of Heathrow, because one of my friends, he traveled with British Airways and went to London Heathrow. He had to face a queue of I think more than 2 hours, and there were lot of questions asked as well. And Luton was completely empty. Literally, there were no questions asked as well, and we were done in 10 minutes. So, overall, whoever is thinking to travel to Albania in order to avoid the hotel quarantine, I would definitely recommend it. Yes, and communication is an issue in Albania. Not many people speak English there unless you stay in good hotels on the street. Not many people speak English there. The people generally there are not that welcoming or friendly. But again, if you choose your spots or your hotels carefully, then you can have a great time. We really enjoyed our holiday. Um, and I think it's the best decision as compared to doing hotel quarantine. The whole trip, including flights, hotels, eating, uh, and going to other places, cost us £2,400 for three of us, which is I think around £800 less than if you would have hotel quarantine plus the flights at that time was around £1,000 as well. And then once you're back in the UK, you just have to self-isolate at home for 10 days, do the day 2 and day 8 test, and then as long as they are negative, then you're out of your self-isolation. So obviously, people were saying there are risks that what if you get COVID whilst you're there in an amber country. So obviously risk is there, but given that it's the cases aren't that many in Albania, so you are a bit safe there because it can happen even before you're flying to the UK as well, or whilst you're staying in the hotel quarantine. So it can happen anytime, but obviously it's a risk there. And people traveling with kids, if they are getting worried about traveling via amber country and the luggage, obviously it's a hassle, but it's absolutely fine. I think it's much better than doing hotel quarantine because obviously our daughter, she doesn't like closed space and she always wants to go out. So for her and for us, it was a really good decision. Uh, so yeah, if you've got any questions regarding Albania or or my journey to Albania, feel free to ask in this post, and I'll happily help you with anything that I've experienced. But yeah, I would because even today the announcement was the red list will stay the same. So I don't think Pakistan will come out of red list anytime soon. So if people are stuck there and are thinking of coming back, then definitely Albania, obviously I can only speak of Albania, as a good option. Thank you.